Hello, how are you? Be all welcome to this course on Hermetic Astrology. It's great for us. It's something very nice to have you there sharing with us this course. And well, the thing that we like the most is to share these teachings with our friends. And okay, if you have decided to be today here in this course of Hermetic Astrology, maybe it's because you, like me, feel that um, you would like to know more about the mysteries of the universe, about stars, and this is what we're going to do today. Okay, we're going to study these cosmic energies, these cosmic intelligences of universe, and how we can take advantage of these energies so we can improve our life. Okay, so we're going to start. Okay, Hermetic Astrology. So, for the ones that are joining for the first time one of the Gnostic courses that we offer, we're going to start from the beginning with some terms, especially the term Hermetic. You know that this word, Hermeticism, makes reference to the name of an ancient Egyptian, well, we can say Greek or Egyptian god, or hero or wise man, who was called Hermes Trismegistus, known as an Egyptian god, unfolded this spiritual perspective on universe, which is very interesting because it shows us what he mainly explained to us is the correspondence between the spiritual and the material. So his teachings are so complex that he explained everything with symbols and what we call hermetic language, because at some point it's so difficult to understand because it's so abstract. Okay, it's so abstract that only a few people were able to, let's say, understand that. Okay, so that's why when we say hermetic, it means that sometimes there are difficult things to understand. There are no new teachings. What we are going to study today is not something new. Remember that in Gnosis, we study all ancient traditions, ancient cultures, but what we are going to do is to try to explain, okay, what we know, what we already know from ancient traditions, and try to know how these teachings can be used in our lives, how they are relevant to improve our lives. Because when we talk about ancient cultures, it's something very boring to just know things, like something curious, but what's the use of that in our life? Okay, if a tradition or a story or a book, even if it's sacred, doesn't teach me something new, I mean, that helps me improve my life, then it's somehow useless. Okay, it's some information that I have, but I cannot use it. So today what we're going to do is to try to understand, or we're going to try to explain, or at least introduce what is a Hermetic astrology. And of course, along the course, we're going to go deeper into different constellations and the meaning and how we can work with this intelligence. Okay, so we're going to now explain the word astrology. Okay, the word astro means stars and logy means study. So astrology means the study of stars. Okay, it is different from astronomy in the sense that astronomy just studies, let's say, the location, the position of the stars. I mean, when I say stars, I mean planets, satellites, all, say, type of celestial spheres. But they don't study, for example, how they influence, how their energy or their vibrations influence our psychology or our behavior, for example. I mean, when I say our behavior, I mean human beings, or even the events that take place, for example, in a planet or in a solar system. Okay. So, why do we study astrology? Today the word astrology has become like something connected to superstition. But even if it has become that for many people, this is not real astrology. Okay, astrology is a very ancient science, even if it's not considered today as a science, because it demands some, let's say, abilities that human beings have lost today. But it is not connected to horoscope. At some point, it was used for doing so, to foretelling the future. But the idea of studying astrology is that we can, let's say, first of all, study and learn about the influence of stars in our life. Of course, that we live in a world, in a universe full of possibilities, and it exists something that we call destiny. Okay, it exists, but it just exists if we don't do anything to change that. Okay, we have the possibility of changing that. We have the possibility of making something different. We have the possibility of changing all this, let's say, set of possibilities that seem to be chosen for us, okay, for in our life. But so the study of astrology helps us to understand all these settings, okay, all the setting that is done for us during our lives. So knowing the future is not really useful. What is really useful is to know how to change. For example, if we knew that there is some unfortunate event going to take place in our life, what's the use of just knowing it if we can't change that? So the idea is that we, first of all, can not just change the negative things that may take place in our life, but also shape our lives in the way that we want. Okay, this is something very interesting because sometimes we feel frustrated because of lots of things, because we are not satisfied with our life in some way, or because we are ill, or because we are poor, because we always suffer in our marriages, because we have problems with our sons or daughters. So all these situations in which we feel the victim, okay, in which we feel as like the victim, is because there is something, a set of events, of possibilities that has produced this to take place in our life. So the idea is that learning about how to work with stars, we can change this setting. And of course, not just that. So astrology is a serious study of stars and their influence that will allow us to better know ourselves. So in that way, we can discover the main features of our character that we need to change to be successful in life. Okay? Because in general, we tend to think that if the things that we are expecting don't happen, it's because there is something weird outside ourselves. But in general, there is something that we need to change so that these events that we are expecting, okay, take place in our life. Astrology will also help us understand some negative events that may take place in our life, or also how to change negative behaviors that we have that produce negative effects in our life. So in that way, we can change, for example, things that we are destined to live because we just change the origin or the source of these events. Okay, there is something very interesting about astrology, and it's the fact that all the cosmos works according to very specific and precise laws that we call the cosmic laws. So stars, okay, being the, let's say, the intelligence of the cosmos, they follow these rules. Okay, so things in life don't take place at random. Okay, nothing in universe is random. If 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 it was so, then planets would be all the time crashing and the cosmos would be a mess. But you know, the word cosmos comes from the Greek and it means order. Order. Why is there order in universe? Because there are laws. Okay, human beings, I mean science, still doesn't know all the laws. There are lots of scientists still today trying to, let's say, discover and explain these laws that make that universe work so perfectly. Okay, so nothing in universe is random, and within our life, it happens the same. The events that we experiment are not at random. Everything happens because of a reason. We are not born at random, not just at any time, at any moment, out of nowhere. There is a specific order, but the problem is that our mind doesn't understand these laws. So we have the perception, let's say, of the feeling that things are crazy, that life is unfair, that we don't deserve these things, because we have, let's say, we don't know exactly the rules of the game, we can say. If we enter to play a game that we don't know the rules, then maybe we think that things are ridiculous. But when we know the rules, of course, it's easier for us to know what to do. Okay? So this is the same. In life, maybe we are not finding the right way to understand what's happening in with us or to us in certain situation. I mean, with money, with other people, with the opposite sex, with our families, with our feelings, okay, with our body because we are ill or we suffer from something, okay. But nothing happens at random. There is a specific cause. There is a specific origin for that to take place. Okay, so all these events take place because there are cosmic laws that, let's say, are ruling us. The problem is that one, that we don't know these rules that are over us. Okay, so in that way, astrology, okay, is a tool for us to help ourselves during life. Okay, and also while we do our conscious efforts to take the best decisions in life. Okay, astrology is not just, uh, we can say, it's not something external that will solve our problems. No, we need to do our conscious efforts, and when we study astrology, it will open a door within ourselves to understand our inner world so we can change the things that we need and we can shape our life in according to what we need to really live and what we expect and what we have come to experiment in life. So, what are we going to learn exactly in this course? Okay, so in this course, we're going, of course, to study the stars and their influence on us, but at the same time, we are going to study how to change the negative traits of our character, of our personality. Okay, we're going to start because these rules, because these stars that rule us, of course, they have different traits and characteristics, and they will help us, okay, change the traits of our character or personality, distinguish them, and know what steps we must take to do it. They will help us improve our health, okay, our prosperity, the relationship that we have with other people, because sometimes we are suffering because of some situations connected with other people, and we don't know if there is some trait of our personality, okay, belonging to uh, any constellation that is producing that, let's say, trait of our personality to raise in that situation. Okay, we're also going to learn how to awaken our occult senses. In ancient times, astrology was just a part, okay, of a whole. Even the ancient astrologers, they, of course, had awakened their occult senses. This is why they were able to explain this reality, this spiritual reality of stars. So we're going to practice, okay, or learn some practices that are going to help us awaken our occult senses. And of course, the most important thing is that we're going to share some practices for us to experiment the spiritual reality within ourselves. Okay? And this is very interesting because in general, when we think of stars, we think of planets. I mean, how can we say, a piece of earth, okay, somewhere in universe. It has some light, maybe if it's a star or if it is a sun, but just that, okay. This is the perception that we have about stars, but we forget that they have an intelligence much higher than human intelligence, okay. So the idea is that we can communicate with them and that we can ask them for help, so they can help us. They are, as I said, they are much more, okay, intelligent than we are, and that the idea is that they can help us transcend the situations that we are in. Okay, so first of this, in this first lesson, we're going to do an introduction, okay, about what we're going to study during the next lessons, because the course will be mainly focused in studying each one of the 12 constellations of the 12 astrological signs. So before that, we need to understand what's the reason for that. So first of all, we're going to make an introduction. We're going to, let's say, explain what when we talk about stars, what we are referring to. Okay, in general, we can say that a star may be a sun, maybe a planet, maybe a satellite, okay? And each one of them irradiates or have a special vibration. So they irradiate this special vibration over our planets, over ourselves, our psychology, our behavior, okay? And this, we can say, special energies or vibrations that they irradiate, they produce different effects on our glands, our emotions, our moods that we can't ignore. Okay. So there are his universe, everything in universe is so orderly, but at the same time, everything is moving, nothing is still. So in this movement, there are certain times and places in which we get closer to certain stars. So their influence or this vibration that they irradiate over us is stronger. So according to the star, according to the time and place, this vibration may affect us in different ways. Okay, so there are we can say stars that are very close to our planets, like for example the moon, which is a satellite. It's all the time, it's very close to the planet. It's spinning around the planet all the time. So a person, a fisherman knows that the moon has a very high influence on the level of the sea. Okay, so when they are going to fish, they pay attention to the moon to know if it's a good time or not for fishing. Because if it's not a good time, then fishermen will not take any fish. Okay, the same happens with farmers. Okay, if they want to plant, they pay attention to the moon, because according to the time of the year, okay, and according to the moon, they know if the plants will grow or not, or if they will grow big or they will be small, or for different plants there are different moons. Okay, the farmers know that. So this is a way, okay, in which we can know that there is a very close connection between the influence for example, of different phases of the moon, and physical phenomena in taking place in the world. Also, it happens the same with our psychology and our glands. The problem is that it's not too easy to detect or to demonstrate, because in general we don't pay attention to our psychology and to the moon. Okay, so we don't know what happens or in which way we are affected by the different phases of the moon, because we are not used to pay attention to the moon. We are not used to paying attention to our psychology either. Okay, well, the sun, of course, we know the very vital influence that the sun has over the planets. If it was not for the sun, then we wouldn't exist. Okay, if there is no sun, there is no life. Then, but it's not just the sun. You know that around the sun, it is not just the Earth, but there is a group of other 12 planets, okay, spinning around the sun, okay? And these planets also have an influence, have an effect on ourselves. We are not going to devote this course to studying the influence of planets, okay? The idea is that this course is devoted to the study of the constellations. But just for you to know that there is also a way, and we study that in Gnosis, how planets affect our psychology and, of course, our life. Before we continue, just not to forget, I will mention now the 7 Hermetic stars of the solar system. Okay, so they are the Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. These 7 stars, okay, most of them are planets, not the Moon or not the Sun, but there is something that they have in common. Okay, the Moon, many thousands of years ago, used to be a planet. Then it lost its density, so it became a satellite. Okay, it's a very special, let's say, a phenomena that takes place with planets sometimes. And also, the sun is not just a traditional planet. It's a sun. It irradiates light and fire. So, but they have a very special influence over our psychology, over our life. So, just for you to know, we're not going to study that in depth. We're just going to mention that, because then we are going to connect the constellations with these 7 stars, okay? And I want you to know that they are connected to, or each planet, each star has a genius, a divine intelligence that we call angels, okay? So, we can say archangel that belongs to the moon is called Gabriel, okay? We call him Logos Gabriel or Archangel Gabriel, okay? Then we have Logos Raphael that is connected to Mercury. Then we have Logos Uriel connected to Venus. Then we have Logos Michael or Michael, but in Spanish we tend to say Michael, okay? Connected to the sun, okay? Samael, which has the power of Mars. Zachariel is the logos of Jupiter, and Oriphiel is the logos of Saturn. Each one of these 7 archangels, intelligences, genius, they are very special beings that, of course, can help us in different ways, okay, according to in different aspects of our lives. We are not going to mention that now, but it is just for you to know that each star has a divine, we can say, being who is much more intelligent than a human being, and so that's why they can help us. We call them angels. You know, if you pay attention to the names, you can notice that all of them finish with El. Okay, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel. Okay, it means that they are angels. Okay, archangels. So we need to be aware of the position that the planet Earth has in the universe. Okay, we belong to the solar system of Ors. This is the name of our sun. Okay, Ors. Okay, there are other suns that are other stars, and they have other different solar systems. But not to make it too difficult, the idea today is that we at least understand that in this journey that our planet is doing along the universe, we are, let's say, in periods, very big periods of time that are repeated. We are influenced by 12 special constellations. That is not something new, but they have been studied by the ancient traditions in different ways. Okay, and this is what we are going to start introducing today. Okay, so now, what are constellations? What are constellations? Okay, constellations are certain groups of stars. They don't need to belong to the same galaxies, okay, because physically, okay, in space, in the universe, we group stars according to, they're grouped physically in galaxies. But constellations don't need to coincide with galaxies. Sometimes constellations are a group of stars that are just set because they are very, very bright, okay? And they form, let's say, we can perceive a shape in the sky, but it's not just that, okay? The energy combined of these stars produce this special vibration of a constellation. So they have been grouped by ancient traditions according to specific vibrations they irradiate over the planet, okay? There are 12 main constellations that have a direct influence over the whole solar system, okay? And now we're going to mention these 12 constellations, okay? Aries, Taurus, okay, the second one, the third one, Gemini, the fourth, Cancer, the fifth, Leo, the sixth, Virgo, the seventh, Libra, Scorpius, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Okay, these are the 12 constellations. These 12 constellations, they are represented by special symbols, okay, that, let's say, depicts the main, kind of influence this constellation has, okay? So Aries is connected to a ram, okay, a sheep, a male sheep. Taurus is connected to the bull, yes. Gemini is connected to the twins. Cancer is connected to the crab. Leo is connected to a lion. Virgo is connected to a virgin. Libra is connected to a scale or balance. Scorpius is connected to scorpion. Sagittarius is connected to this mythological, let's say, creature, which is called a centaur, which is a kind of beast, is half man and half a horse. Okay, this is the centaur for mythology, for Greek mythology. Then Capricorn is a goat. Aquarius is a water bearer. I mean, a person that is pouring water or mixing, okay, waters, different water from different sources. Okay, Aquarius. And Pisces, it's connected to the fish. So here I want to show you a picture of the sun, okay, we can say traveling along these 12 constellations, okay? So if you can see the picture, it is a kind of circle, okay? This is the shape that the sun makes while traveling in its orbit, okay? In the same way that the Earth spins around the sun, and for us, when we fully complete, let's say, a whole journey around the sun, we call it 1 year. So when the sun completes its whole journey along the 12 constellations, we have what we call a cosmic year. Of course, it's much longer than the year that we have in Earth. 1 year in Earth is made up by 365 days or 66 days, but a cosmic year consists of 25,968 years in Earth. Okay, this is the time it takes for the sun to cover all these circuits along these 12 constellations. Okay, so the sun is making a journey. Okay, so for the sun to do this, we can say that the whole solar system is influenced for a certain period of time by different constellations. Okay, each one of these constellations have a very strong influence over the whole solar system. For us, it's difficult to distinguish or to feel it. Why? Because these periods of time in which we are influenced by one constellation, okay, takes 2,164 years. So no one is, let's say, alive all those years to feel the difference between the influence of Aquarius or the influence of Pisces or the influence of Capricorn. So this is the problem, okay? That we don't know what to expect, let's say, okay? So in this way, this whole solar circuit is divided into 12 eras, okay? Into 12 eras, which predict, we can say, specific events and specific situations for the whole solar system influenced by that constellation. Okay, in the Earth, we are influenced by constellations in a different way. You know, even if the whole solar system for a very long period of time is nearer one specific constellation, but while we spin around the sun, then we get close to different constellations during the year, and this is why, according to this Greek tradition, we are influenced, okay, by these 12 constellations, of course, because along the year there are moments in which the Earth is near or facing different constellations. So we can say that during 2,164 years, we are mainly under the influence of one specific constellation. Okay, that is the one that mostly rules what's happening in the whole solar system, on the Earth. Okay, we call that an era. So this cosmic year is divided into 12 eras. Okay, so in that way we have the era of Aquarius, the era of Capricorn, the era of Sagittarius, the era of Scorpius, the era of Libra. Okay, each constellation determines a specific era, but at the same time, we can say that we can find 4 specific periods during this cosmic year that can be compared to the 4 seasons, okay, that we undergo during the year in Earth. We have spring, summer, autumn, and winter, okay? Well, the same happens in a macrocosmic level. So we're going just to mention them because we're not going to focus on these ages, but at least for you to know our position and our situation, okay, our astrological situation in universe. We can say that the journey of the solar system, or the sun, around this zodiacal belt starts in Aquarius and finishes in Aquarius. Since the whole journey starts in Aquarius, then these first for these eras of Aquarius, Capricorn, and Sagittarius belong to what we can call the golden age, okay, in which the planet and the solar system enjoys complete peace, innocence, well-being. During the golden age, Earth and the solar system enjoy a great level of balance. They are completely ruled by the gods, okay, or spiritual beings. Human beings are at peace because they respect their gods. But what happens in the Silver Age, which is the next age, during the next three eras that belong to the Silver Age, which is Scorpius, Libra, and Virgo, then this well-being is not so, let's say, positive like at the beginning, like in the Golden Age, but still human beings, let's say, there are no borders, there are no wars, there is no poverty. At least human beings can enjoy happiness and balance. Then after the Silver Age finishes, then we are exposed to what we call the Copper Age. Okay, this is we can say a period in which the whole system, of course, starts to perceive or to experiment decadence, not just physical, but also spiritual. Boundaries, borders start to appear, struggles for power, wars, and conflicts. And of course, during the last age, okay, at the end of this circuit, it's called the Iron Age. Of course, then the conflicts and the wars, the problems and the imbalances experienced by the system is so big that its inhabitants cannot enjoy peace, we can say. So it is good for us to know. Of course, we cannot change the movement, okay, of the sun, of stars, of planets, okay. This is a set journey that the sun makes around the constellations. This is not something new. This is something that has been repeated for ages and ages, okay. So we already know that movement, and we know, okay, that after certain thousands of years, the Earth and the system will be exposed to different circumstances, to different stars that are directly connected to the events that are going to take place. This is why there are, let's say, periods that of history that can be repeated. It's not because human beings want to repeat things. Of course, there are things that we don't learn, and this is why we get the same lessons once and once again. But at the same time, these lessons come as in the shape of certain energies and vibrations that we are exposed to. Okay, so now we know, of course, that at the end of an age, let's say, influenced by Taurus, Aries, and Pisces, which are the three constellations that are, let's say, the last ones before reaching Aquarius again. So we will experiment special, let's say, events, conflicts, wars, that is not that they are negative, because I mean, the first thing that we think, okay, this is something bad. But at the same time, they present the best opportunities for us to, for our spiritual unfolding. Okay, because it's when we have the challenges, when we have this, let's say, need to overcome what's happening. Okay, so these 4 ages, okay, we are not going to go deeper into this, just for you to know that, but that they coincide what in Vedic tradition is called yugas, okay, the different yugas. Here we are, this is a picture of the position, okay, in which we are now, okay. We are in Aquarius, so it's not because we are already enjoying this golden age, we are supposed to, but we are in a transition because we are, we can say, at the beginning of this golden age, while we still keep the structure of the previous age, which is of the previous era, sorry, which is Pisces. So we are in a very difficult position in the sense that Aquarius is completely different to Pisces. Aquarius brings a lot of movements, a lot of a big speed in communications, and Pisces, on the other hand, it's something connected to emotions, contradictions, okay, because Pisces is not one fish, but there are two, okay, opposing fish. So in some way, we have a big challenge. We are exposed to this challenge, even if we don't notice, okay, at these times, because we can perceive that we are feeling the effects of the last moments of Pisces, and at the same time, there is a need for us to follow the requirements of Aquarius, okay, which is awakening, which is revolution, and which is light, okay? So we're going to go deeper into that, okay? But now, this is just for you to know in which moments of this circuit we are, okay? So now that we have studied the 12 constellations, here we have a diagram, okay, with the 12 constellations that the Greeks classified, okay? The Greeks, like many other ancient traditions, used to study the sky, the stars, analyze them, and of course, study and perceive the effects each constellation, each star has on Earth. So they distinguished this combination of stars that they call constellations, and each one corresponding with one specific symbol. They divided the whole year into 12 periods, coinciding with these different, let's say, influences, okay, that we have just mentioned. By the way, the word zodiac, okay, means cycle or circle of animals, okay? And this is why we find, well, not the Gemini and the Virgo. Well, we can say that we are animals also, okay? Because human beings, we are rational animals, okay? So this is the wheel or the circle of animals, okay? And in the middle of it, in the center, we have the sun, okay? Which is out of these 12 signs, okay? It could be number 13, okay? It could be number 13 because it's out of any of the other 12 signs. And at the same time, it receives the influences of the other 12. This is something very important. This is something very important, especially in our psychology, okay, to understand, because our inner sun is our real self, okay? Within ourselves, our sun is the star that rules us, okay? We can say that our inner star is our sun. So the rest, or this 12 constellations, even if they all exist within our universe, they all affect, or in a positive or negative or both at the same time, let's say, our psychology, our behavior. Okay, but the only thing that remains the same is the sun. Okay, so here we also want to share with you, this is another wheel, okay, a different way in which ancient Egyptians divided the year they divided the year again into 12. They divided the year into three main periods, and each one of these periods had like 4 months, okay? So each one of them was connected to a different god, okay? Each one of them was ruled by a different god. You know that the gods were also connected to different animals, okay? Even here you can perceive that some of them have horns, or even the shape of an animal, or sometimes the head or the face of an animal. It's not because they adored animals, but they, let's say, identified some special features that we can say are the characteristic or the positive or the main characteristics that sometimes can coincide with the specific powers, or let's say, or abilities of some animals. So this is the way in which it was, let's say, easier for them to transmit this knowledge. I mean, to summarize the whole intelligence of a star, okay, with a symbol of an animal or a special god that was also connected with some astrologic phenomena or some other animal, okay, some events of nature. All of them were connected to nature, of course, you know, because space and stars are part of nature. I mean, they are creations, they are part of creation. So we can say that in both traditions, for the Greek and for the ancient Egyptians, all the zodiac signs were connected or represented by gods. Okay, they were ruled, okay, by a specific spiritual being or a spiritual ruler that governs in some way the universe. Okay, so this is interesting because, as you know, at the entrance of the Greek temple of Apollo, there is a text that says, "Man, know yourself, and you will know the universe and its gods." Okay, this is very interesting because, in general, when we say God, we have a concept or an idea of someone, okay, like a person, an invisible person somewhere, okay, that, okay, that we don't know, and but you know, no one has told us that the whole universe, even God, has a place within ourselves, that as it is above, it is below. What does it mean? That all the universal cosmic events have a correspondence somehow within ourselves, okay? But since we don't know the universe, we don't know ourselves, or since we don't know ourselves, we don't know universe. So astrology is what helps us understand, okay, our relationship with other stars, okay, with other beings, and to know ourselves and who we are, okay, and to discover or reach, hopefully someday, our inner star, our inner sun. Okay, I will make here. I want to clarify something, because sometimes we receive this question about if hypnosis, what do we think about gods, okay? If hypnosis believes, let's say, in one god or in many gods, okay? So you know that the terms monotheism means one god, okay? Theos for the Greeks means God. Okay, so monotheism means one God, and polytheism means lots of gods. Okay, because it's confused with idolatry. Just to explain that polytheism has nothing to do with idolatry. You know that what we call God, okay, which is a concept, by the way, unless we understand very deeply, which is not something so easy, what is who or what God really is. In general, we use this word to refer to a kind of person. So in that way, we cannot accept that one person is a lot of people, because a person is one person, okay? In the same way, it's difficult for us, perhaps for our minds, to say, okay, me and the rest of the human beings are one, okay? Yes, because in our psychology, in our inner world, me and the rest of the human beings are divided, okay? But for the universe, it's just one. In the same way, we cannot say that this God is against this other God, or this is one God that doesn't agree with the other one, because it doesn't happen. Okay, this happens with human beings that have our psychology degenerated. This is why we make war. This is why we quarrel. This is why we cannot reach an agreement. Okay, this is not something divine from us to do. Okay, but God is not like that. Okay, if we could compare a God to an angel, we could say that there are maybe millions or billions or more of angels in the whole universe, and the set of all these angels are called gods. Okay, so in that way, we don't need to choose or prefer one perspective, because both of them are possible, okay, if we understand them adequately. So if we could say that polytheism is right or monotheism is right, okay, both things can be right at the same time. If we understand this, that the group or the set of spiritual beings in the whole universe are what we call gods. So when we say God, we are not referring to only to a person, because in fact God is not a person, but a group of celestial beings, okay, that rule stars. One of these is within ourselves, at least. I mean, they are all within ourselves, but there is one that is our inner being, that is the one that rules us. So this is why we need to really discover who we are, to be ready to connect, to communicate, and to discover this inner power that we have, which is our inner being. Okay, we call this universal force God or Allah or Brahma, but it is not a person. Okay, it is an invisible force. Okay, we all agree that it's a spiritual force that is powerful, but we can see him like someone, like a person. Okay, so if we have to define that, what will we say that it is? Okay, so for different tradition, it has different names. We can call him God, Allah. Okay, in other traditions, it receives other names. Okay, but it's not a person. So what is it, and why we can say that there are angels or archangels or different beings or gods? Because they all belong to this divinity. Of course, someone may say, okay, but sometimes they have enemies, they have counterparts. Of course, this is something that exists, okay, but they are not, we can say, gods, but they are evil intelligences also. It is a more complicated topic that we are not going to explain now. But of course, this is not what we call God. Okay, not, at least not in the traditional way. Okay, so in sum, we can say that these 12 constellations that at the same time exist in universe, that affect what's happening in our solar system, in our planets, and in us, okay, they don't only exist in the external world, they also exist in our internal world. As Hermes Trismegisto said, as it is outside, it is within. What does it mean? There is a correspondence of what happens outside to what happens within. Okay? So how are we going, let's say, to take advantage of this knowledge? Okay? Why is it relevant to know, for me, that there are 12 special powers that are not just ruling the the space of universe in which I believe, in which I live? There are not only 12 cosmic powers ruling my planets, the whole solar system, but also my life from within. Okay? Okay, so what we need to know about these 12 zodiacal signs is that all of them have positive and negative features. Okay? All of them, they have just positive or negative features. We need to eliminate the negative features so the positive features of each one of these signs appear. The 12 powers, okay, the 12 signs or the 12 constellations of the zodiac, we have them within, all of them, okay? Although there is one, which is a star under we were born, that determines much of our psychological traits, okay? Although not everything, but much of our psychological traits. Although not everything, of course. And when we are able to get rid of the negative influence of the zodiacal signs, not only the one under we have been born, but also the whole zodiac, okay? I mean, when we only express the positive traits, because when we eliminate the positive influence, I mean, when we find a way not to be negatively influenced by them, then only the positive traits of each constellation can be expressed through us. Then the sun, our inner sun, or our inner divine star, is able to be expressed in us. Okay? And this is the ancient knowledge behind the knowledge of astrology. Okay? Even though astrology, or better said, astronomy, was used for lots of things, okay? And these days we have shared a video on how the Temple of Dendera was built, was oriented so that it could receive the influence of the star, the Alpha Draconis star, or the Sirius star. But it's not because the aim of, for example, ancient Egyptians was to build a temple. The purpose of building such a temple and channeling the energies of stars was that when we are able to connect, I mean, when a group of people are able to connect with the energy of a star, of a special star, and are psychologically prepared to channel this energy, so we can really do great things, okay? Because stars are really powerful. But the problem is that we are not able to channel adequately these energies. Why? Because our psychology, I'm sorry for saying that, but our psychology today is too degenerated, okay? So the idea is that we can study these 12 powers, these 12 influences, to purify the way in which we receive the influences of these 12 zodiacal powers, And we can, of course, take advantage of that. Because when we can channel all the power of the stars, of course, that our health improves, the relationship that we have with people, our prosperity, okay? It's a huge amount of energy that comes to us, but of course, we need to learn how to channel this energy. So once we are able to do this, I mean, when we have completely get rid of the negative influences of the stars and only the positive traits are able to express, there is something that is called the myth of the solar hero. And you know that what we call Christmas, okay, at least for Western tradition, is a celebration of the birth of the solar hero, even if today this story is completely connected to the historical person of Jesus, okay, whom we call Jesus. Okay, I'm not saying he was not a master, of course, he's a divine being, but what we are saying is that this celebration is prior to Jesus, okay? And why? Because the myth of the solar hero explains how this hero, that it could be called also Hercules, it could be called Hermes Trismegistus, it could be called Krishna, it could be called Buddha, it could be called Prophet Muhammad, okay? Because the solar hero is the one that is able to completely get rid of the negative influences or completely balance the power of these 12 zodiacal powers, so that the whole power of the inner sun is able to express. And of course, it can be expressed in a master, okay? Before the master is completely purified, let's say the whole energy of this star, the inner sun, cannot be expressed. So it's not that just that any person is able to do this, but at least we have the keys. So this is why we find in different religious traditions that a master is accompanied by 12 disciples, okay? It's not because it's a random coincidence, okay, that Jesus had 12 disciples, or that Prophet Muhammad was accompanied by 12 imams, his 12 disciples or closer disciples, okay? You know that I'm not also saying that they did that in purpose, that they need that they are 12. This just happens because it's connected to these 12 spiritual powers that are really needed. I mean, for a Christic drama to take place, these 12 energies are required. So it's part of the scenario in which the sun can be expressed, okay? And so this number 13, and it is connected to numerology also. Some of you have shared with me before a course of Kabbalah where we shared the mysteries of each one of the arcana. So we can see how number 13 is out of this 12, okay? Because it's the conscious, let's say, liberation. Is the moment, or is the stage in which the hero and becomes a hero because he's able to set free from the other 12 influences. That is not because they are bad, okay? Of course, we said they have positive and negative, let's say, traits, but because the hero is able to go beyond the duality of good versus evil, or matter versus spirit, okay? Because now this hero understands everything as a whole, is able to be beyond, okay, these circumstances that let's say, make him be trapped between this duality. Okay, so this is what we are going to study. We are going to reflect along the course about this, because this is very interesting, because this is why we suffer. It looks like something minor, but this is the reason why we suffer. When we suffer, is because there is a contradiction between what we want and the reality, because of our expectations and what happens in real life. Because I don't know, the things that we wish are not accomplished. Okay, so this duality or this conflict appears because prior to that, before that, the conflict is within ourselves. There is, let's say, a duality in the perception that we have over reality in some way. Okay, this is something very deep, but of course we're talking about psychology, and we're going to, of course, let's say, explore different types of psychological traits and how we can, let's say, heal or balance that, okay, to transcend the situations in which we perceive ourselves as the victim, okay, or that we feel that we suffer, that there is some imbalance or something that shouldn't be happening. Okay, so with the study of astrology, we are going to discover the positive and negative traits of our psychology, so we can change radically. Okay, so it's not about changing. What's the difference between just changing and changing radically? Okay, that we need to change in some way the convictions that we have. Okay, it's not about pretending. It's not about appearances. It's about what's deep within ourselves that makes us perceive reality in a wrong way, so that we are blocking, the things that we need to enjoy, or that we are supposed to enjoy. Okay, and astrology also allows us to change our life, because if we change radically, we can modify the events in our life. We just don't want to change things superficially. We want things to improve for better. For example, I knew a person that always had the same problems when she was looking for a couple, okay, with her boyfriends. And she told me, they are all the same. They just do all the time the same things, and they are one like the same like the previous one, she said. And she didn't, let's say, perceive that there was something in her, okay, making or shaping her reality all the time in the same way. So it's not just changing superficially. It's not about looking for a new boyfriend, okay? It's about changing so that the person that is with us, okay, really is part of a different reality, okay? Because we are different. This is why we need to change radically. And it's not just about changing superficially or trying to change the things from outside, okay? In that way, we can change our destiny, okay? Because, of course, when something negative is repeated for a long time, and this happens during our whole life, then, okay, our destiny, we say, is to be unhappy or to suffer from this illness or to be poor. This is our destiny, we just say, because we cannot find a way out, okay? But when we understand how, and we have the key, okay, to change, then we can say, okay, there is a way in which it's not just something superficial. I need to work on this. I need to transcend this. So my reality will completely be a different one. Okay? We can have different relationships with other people. We can be healed from illnesses. We can solve our inner conflicts. Okay? We can have prosperity and well-being. Okay? All this if we explore ourselves. Okay, and this is what we're going to do during the course. There is something else which is very important, very, very important, because during the course, I told you that we are going to do practices, special practice. Okay. And what does it mean? We're going to teach you very ancient practices to communicate with the stars. But as I said, in general, we are used to thinking the stars are inanimate beings, inanimate pieces of earth just flying there. But it's not like that. We said stars are divine intelligence. Okay, they are spiritual beings. Okay, if we say that they have in their core they have an angel, maybe we are not too wrong. Okay, so we can call it an angel, a genius, a divine being. Okay, but we need to do these practices. What I need to tell you is that we need much mysticism. Okay, and of course we need to be convinced that we are going to purify our psychology and to struggle to change, okay, to change ourselves so they can favor us, because that's the condition that they demand from us, this that we are working on becoming purer so they can help us, okay, because if not they can't. Of course, I tell you this because there are some people, some poor people, that they think that astrology is for doing witchcraft or terrible things, okay? And what we're saying here is that this is a very sacred practice that we need to do with much respect. This is not for telling the fortune to a person. It's not for that, okay? This is something really important that we need to do with much respect and love and mysticism, okay? And it also demands from us concentration and imagination, okay? We're going to work with mantras, we're going to work with meditation, we're going to work with our imagination, with concentration. So this is what we're going to do, and I'm telling you this, okay, because in each lesson we're going to have special practices. Some practices are very long, so unfortunately we can't do it in an online course, but we are going to at least try to explain the whole practice so you can do it on your own if you want to do it completely, okay, which that would be the best thing to do. But I'm telling you this because the idea is that we can practice. So at home, you can, when you get ready for the lesson, you look for a place in which you can have a silence and that you can be on your own to practice, to focus, to concentrate, and you are not, let's say, distracted, okay, by other people or television or anything else. So you can really have results, okay, because this is what we want, that you have results. Now we are sharing this because it works, but we are also telling you what we need. We need imagination, concentration, silence, okay, we need mysticism, much respect, okay, we need to have the conviction that we are changing, okay, that we are purifying our psychology to be a better person, to improve, so that this practice work, okay? I have just told you the requirements, okay? Like when you are at school and the teacher says, okay, this is what you need for the class, okay, this is what we need for the class, okay? So that the practice works. And so you have results. Because when we have results, then we don't need to believe, then we don't need to believe or not in other people's opinions, because we have our own experience, and our own experience is the one that tells us, okay, what is right, I mean, for us or not, okay? So now, next, what we are going to do is we are going to join live, not here on YouTube. Below the video there is a link, and the idea is that we can meet, okay, all together, live, and we can share a practice, okay? So I hope you have liked the lesson. You can ask questions, okay? And we're going to practice a special practice that is connected to the class that we have studied today, okay? So I hope you have enjoyed this lesson. So, and for the ones that are new in the channel, please, we ask you to subscribe to our channel to help us to support all the material, the courses, and the lessons that we offer for free to advertise the Gnostic teaching. Thank you very much, and see you.